My name is Michael. I'm originally from Russia. I lived, I grew and established in Moscow, but I've been born in Ukraine, in Crimea. My family moved from Crimea in 2000 in the year 2000, and we got Russian citizenship in 2007. So it wasn't due to any political or something like these issues. Before in Moscow, I used to work as a recruitment specialist, and I studied I worked a couple of years as a recruitment specialist. Then I studied for data science at Higher School of Economics, and here I'm in Barcelona right now because I moved from Russia to Barcelona as a student.
So it's a short version of your story. But you told me before that you started your political activity in 2013.
Yes, about so. Since I was teenager, I was quite interested in politics, in what's going on, and moreover, I wasn't agree with everything what's happening in Russia. It was, I finished school in 2012, and it was, the breaking moment for Russian politics, because it was the time when Putin returned to power after this Medvedev term. I participated, and I cannot say, I can't say that I was some huge big activist who was on every barricade or something, but I more or less participated in social activities. I've been volunteering for some independent candidates on elections, both as as agitator. I agitate the public for to vote for the person, and we also collect some signs to allow a person to participate in elections. Also, I been volunteering for Lyubov Sobol, and
so Lyubov Sobol is one of very famous, very active head of FBK Navalny team.
Yes, she's one of the key players in Navalny team. And after it was approximately in year 2014, and also I've been working for Maxim Katz. He's also a positioner. He's also one of the main public politicians who are against Putin, and I was participating I was volunteering on the elections in 2020.
In his team.
In his team, yeah, it was it was municipal elections
in Moscow.
Not in Moscow, but in other cities. I worked with Maxim Katz a couple of times. First time in 2017, they have municipal campaign during 2017 Moscow municipal elections, and then when they have similar thing, when they actually didn't make own candidates, but help another one with expertise, with money, with fundraising and stuff like this. And I participated in the similar activities in the similar campaign in 2020, but in 2020 it was more regional for in other cities rather than Moscow.
Okay, so you told me you did everything that because you want to change the world. You feel that it is not quite right what is going on, and you at that moment you say, "Oh, I will go there and do something to change the world."
It's partially like that. I just like my I don't know. I think that like every person has own values, on views on the politics and things around. So like my values didn't, they didn't. They contradicted to what's going on in around me, like to what was going on in Russia, and I think that there should be like political changes, and I did it because I believed that these actions, this opinion should be viewed like if I don't express my views, they will they just don't count. If you do nothing, then like it's not visible. The like society doesn't count them in.
So that was your social obligation to participate in political life.
Not obligation. It was my own will. I thought that I have some I have some.
Yeah, I mean
time
obligation in terms of that you think it is obligatory to do something in political field to change life, to propagate your views, your values, and everything.
Yeah, definitely. I think that like majority of people, most of the people should. It is better when more people participate in politics, even as their spare time, not as their main activity. But it is better for society because every person like contributes to the better society. It's fine.
Held responsibility for your own life.
In a sense.
Yeah.
Let me start a bit earlier. Because I'm from Crimea, and this is this is the place where everything started. The war.
Yeah. Please draw a whole picture.
And in 2014. And like for me, it was a very depressive moment because all my life I lived in Moscow. I talked to people, and everything I heard like your hohol, it's it's some national slur. So I never, and like despite that I like grew and established in Moscow. I always identified myself as Ukrainian because like I'm from Ukrainian family. I'm from I was born in Ukraine, and like but in 2014 it changed even before like the war in the eastern part of the Ukraine, something weird started to happen because Russia invaded, technically, occupied the Ukrainian territory, and moreover, they start to claim that this part is Russian and always been, which never resonates with my own feeling because when you're a foreigner in Russia, you always see you always meet some. Kind of, it's not pressure, it's not racism in what Westerners mean, but it's not like you have high chances to meet a person who is who will not like that you are not Russian. So
naturally born Russian. So
yeah.
So we are speaking about eastern part of Ukraine, like Donbass. Or we are speaking both about Crimea and Donbass?
We are speaking about, yeah, of course we are speaking, just those events are separated by like 2 months. No, not 2 months, but like about month and a half. because actually society in Russia, and moreover society in Crimea, from my feelings, from what I saw, they just accepted what happened. Like people, people just accepted this as some status quo, that they are Russia now. And moreover, it was accepted by some, people from Ukraine who before they were hated because they're hohols. Now they are started to believe that, okay, we're pure Russians from the Russian soil.
So you are saying that in Crimea people and in Donbass people were passive and they just accepted Russian invasion, and they accepted that, well, maybe they all also agreed that now they are not foreigner for alien for Russia, but they are native Russians on Russian soil, so they have their benefits because of that invasion.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I mean, it's more about I think that it is rather for people from east of Ukraine and like Crimea who was living in Moscow at that moment. Not those who were in the Donbass, because they just again, it was weird for me because I was all my life I've heard that I'm hohol. And it was, something bad people didn't like. But the same people start to me like, the place where you were born, Crimea, it is Kremnash. It is, the place which is...
so now it's
purely,
Russia?
Now it's purely Russian soil. Now it is the most Russian place.
You have your own benefits. You're now not...
Yeah, and like for many people, it was, it was... something good that they saw, because it's isn't the like legal procedures for them. It isn't lots of things, and the similar thing for the people from the Donbass. Like from Donetsk, Luhansk, they were just it was easy for them to accept documents. But I believe that the things for people who were there in Crimea, it felt completely different, because when again they accepted it as well, as some status quo, but it's a bit different when some army comes to your town and start to claiming something. It's not that not all of us people are brave enough to discuss and debate with a guy with a gun. And like for them it was it was not matter of choice, despite all these referendums and stuff like this.
Okay.
It was not matter of choice. It was they didn't have they got into this situation.
It's absolutely interesting and somehow unique point of view.
Like again, the invasion in 2014 was really depressive for me. I just felt that it is, it's something wrong, but I believe that things can change, that, the political discourse will change, that, the pluralism will be allowed, that at some moment the Russian society will change, and it will, things will, turn back as it have to be. But when Russia invaded Ukraine in 24 February in 2022, I just understand that the worst ever thing that could happen happened. Like I think that for me it was I thought that the war between Ukraine and Russia is impossible, because it's kind of historical, moral, ethical crime. You cannot you cannot just push people to kill when so many mutual families, when so many people who moved from one country to another. but and like as the worst ever worst ever thing happened, I just understand that it is it's going one way, and it will never turn back to some normal situation. So and like after that I decided to move to another country. It was actually really frustrating for me to stay in Russia for like first months, because I felt really lots of stress. I couldn't even wonder that you can be under some stressful, not depression, but like real stress, under shock for like a month. But I've been, and lots of my friends and relatives also have been like in a shock condition for a really long time. I was rather concentrated on the living in Russia. I also talked to all my friends, relatives, people I knew from childhood who are in Ukraine right now, because I don't know, it was important for me, because I was scared for them, for their life, for their health, and also I tried to morally support them, because it's not the best feeling when your house is bombed and you see no support from from your family, from your friends, relatives.
Did your family, did your friends in Ukraine, Russian Crimea, or other parts of Ukraine, did those people accepted your support at that moment, or they said, no, we don't like your, we don't want your condolences, we don't want your support, because you are one of those invaders who did that? What they said to you at that moment?
No, of course, no, not. None of my relatives had any aggression.
In Crimea?
Not in Crimea. In Crimea right now I have pretty far relatives who stay there. And mostly those in Crimea, they okay, stop. I got lost a bit. You ask that the relatives but the Crimean relatives never been involved.
Yeah. Well, let me repeat my question. So you try to support people in Ukraine with your condolences, with your expression of comparison, since active phase of invasion in February 22. So that's what you did at that moment. Speak with people in Ukraine. You said that you are totally with them. You agree that it is unfair war and everything else. And what people which you talk to at that moment, what people think, what people felt at that moment?
Actually, all of it's not only it was not only just words. For instance, I helped my friend to leave the Kherson region. But
to Ukraine.
He actually now in Belgium, but it was a difficult moment when it was easier to go. From Kherson it was easier to go to Crimea, and their far relatives, and we found a car to move him from Kherson from Kherson to Crimea. Then we helped him to go from Crimea to Moscow, and then he left to Belgium. He's now a refugee in Belgium. But all again, I don't know. My position always was always clear. I never tried to manipulate with my position or hide it or something. I always I thought that it was unacceptable, and I'm sorry, and I don't know what to do right now with everything that's going on, and I openly told it to my friends, relatives in who are in Ukraine, who were under Russian shelling, and they always accepted that. Was always thankful. They was, I never met any aggression or something.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, some of those people, some of them, they were on their own stress, because it's different when the war is is scary, and but again, never had any like aggression or something.
Okay, so last summer you just prepared your documents and find which university will accept your, I don't know, application, and as you said, Barcelona chose you to accept you here, and you moved from one of the famous and top rank universities in schools in Moscow, in Russia. You moved to, well, you were accepted. Your documents were accepted in Barcelona, one of these private universities.
Yeah, it's a small private university called Harbor Space. Like I was I finished my academic year in May, and right after that I start to prepare to look a place where I can transfer my education, where I can transfer. Actually, I was like in the process of admission with 4 universities, and was at the end of the day, like I was admitted in all of them. But I decided to choose the Harbor Space, because their academic staff has like lots of professors and teachers from so-called like Russian Moscow Mathematical School, from MIPT, from HSE, and from Lomonosov. And yeah, and they gave me like scholarship, which is
Tell me how you moved from and all that adventures, Moscow, Belarus, and Baltic state.
Yeah, it's actually amazing story. I was and like I don't know, it was one of the scariest moment in my life, and at the same time, I really think that it was one of the coolest moments in my life. At the end of the August, it was absolutely clear for almost everyone that things in Russian innovation isn't going under the plan. So I applied for my Spanish visa in 1st of September, and then in 1st of September, and my education started like in 25th of September. So I planned my my transfer, my logistics. So I go from Moscow to Minsk. From Minsk I go to Warsaw, and in Warsaw I take the plane.
Because of sanctions, Russians have no chance to fly directly from Russia to any European country. And I just want to emphasize that you planned your trip not because of mobilization, but because of your next academic year here in Barcelona.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't connected, but it just happened that I had. Also, one important thing that I didn't mention before, I decided to go through the Minsk because between Russia and Belarus we don't have any border.
We didn't have any
We
border.
didn't have any border.
Now it is.
Yeah, and you can go there, just by showing your passport, but like mine wasn't even checked. And I didn't want to talk to Russian customs, despite that, I had absolutely perfect and legal stories. I know that they can, eat your brain a bit. So I decided to, I prefer to go through Belarus.
Well, actually, that was easiest way to escape Russia.
Yeah,
going through Belarus.
Yeah, and like my first part of my trip went well. I went from Moscow to Minsk, then took my bus to the Brest, to Warsaw, and I went through the Brest city. It is like a small
Border.
Yeah, it's
west border
yeah,
of Belarus.
it is like southwestest border city in Belarus. And like then I finally I went through the Belarus customs, and then Polish customs officer didn't like that I don't have Polish visa, despite that I had like student visa, which they should to allow me in.
Yeah, well, and you had,
I had
tickets.
I showed him tickets. I showed him my
Invitation
from the university,
letter of acceptance.
Acceptance letter. But like he didn't like, and he didn't allow me to go in, and I got into, they didn't let me in. I got into the bus which goes back to Brest, and in 2 a.m. I got in the middle of nowhere without having any friends or someone I know in the city, without any booking for sleeping. And it was like it was almost 240. It was almost 24 hours since I took my train in Moscow, so I didn't sleep for almost 24 hours. And after that, I was lost, but because of because I was a bit scared, I had some adrenaline, I had some power. So I found a taxi which drove me from the Brest to Hrodno. It is the northwest city in Belarus.
So very good for now. Very good geography of Belarus.
Sure. and there I decided to go from to try to pass through the Lithuanian border. And at the moment I was I was pretty scared that because Lithuanians also can not allow me in. He told me that, and he told me like that he did it almost like 10 times with other guys who was also who wasn't allowed into Polish customs, and he brought them to Lithuania. But I think that he lied me because he just wanted to make me. Actually, at that moment, it wasn't a thing, because at the moment it was just rumors that probably today will be they will raise this so-called mobilization and everything. But at the moment it wasn't even a thing, because I spent all day reading the jokes about how how lucky I am because I choose the right moment to leave the Russia. But it wasn't a thing back then at the moment. So I tried to pass the Lithuanian border, and it wasn't as easy as it seems, because he drove me to the border and dropped me there. But in order to to enter the border, I need to have like a bike, a car, or a bus.
So you can cross. you are allowed to cross Belarusian border only in a vehicle. You can't cross it.
You cannot cross it by walk. You need to you need to have some vehicle, at least bike. So I found two ladies who allowed me to join them, and
Belarusian ladies.
Yeah, they are from Belarus. They allowed me into their car, and I I spent 6 or 7 hours trying to not 6. I'm lying. I spent 4 hours trying to change to another car, not another car, but to the bus, because the bus is they go onto separate line. They are not in the main line of regular cars, and it's much more quicker. But I had no success, and so at about 9 a.m. The mobilization in Russia was declared,
and you were awake at that moment more than 24 hours.
Yes, and I was awake, but again, it didn't bother me at that moment because I start to feel really scared, because I understood that I have no way back to Russia, and I was even considering to find some house in Belarusian rural areas as some
to become refugee in Belarus.
Yeah, exactly. It was some the worst case scenario, but at the moment I didn't sleep. I was scared, and moreover, people around me in the car line, it's long, so you met people, you talk to them, and they all of them told me you shouldn't go. They won't allow you. They won't let you in. Everyone told me that they didn't say it because they want to not because of the anger or some bad things, but it was just their feeling.
Long story short, you were at the border, and Lithuanian border patrol told you.
They didn't tell me I got to the neutral zone, and which where I can go by walking, because Lithuanian part you can pass by walking, and I met the first Lithuanian officer I met. I started to tell him openly, I was in the Polish border, they didn't let me in, I'm going to study, and I'm very scared and stuff like this. So his first reaction was, you're from Russia? Because I started to speak with him in English, and he was a bit amused and he was a bit amused, not amused,
surprised.
Yeah, he was surprised by that, because Russian people don't start speaking English. Then he tried to ask me something do you know that? And I was I was scared, and as some reflex, I said that Russia invaded Ukraine and started genocide. Of course, I know I'm from Ukrainian. Look, I was born in Ukraine. And he told me, no, dude, not that. Do you know that we don't allow Russian with tourist visas right now? Since a couple of days, I told him yeah, sure, of course I know, but I have the visa, the student visa, so it was okay. And he went, he went somewhere for 10 or 20 minutes. After that, he returned to me, gave my documents, which I didn't check, and told me that you need to go to customs check to show your luggage and your stuff. Okay, they did it. I've checked, and the last customs officer who checked my luggage told me okay, now you can go. And I start to go, and I thought that okay, probably it was the last check, but at some moment I was, stopped. And did he mean like to go outside, or maybe they need some other check? I didn't check my passport. At the moment, I already had the stamp that I entered the Lithuania. So I returned to the first guy.
You lost your orientation. You didn't know which way you should go, back to Belarus or...
No. I thought that he didn't tell me like something went wrong, but he told me like, you can go. And I assumed that he might mean that I have to go to another check to, so they can put me a stamp and stuff like this. I returned back. The first officer I met and like start to explain him, I'm sorry, excuse me, but I didn't sleep for 30 hours. So the 30 hours, and it was like the 30 hours at the moment. Would you mind to, and also I'm very stressed by the situation. Would you mind to tell me where should I go? And he laughed and like showed me Lithuania. Yeah, Lithuania there.
Okay. So, other parts of your trip to Barcelona were boring. Nothing remarkable.
It was a funny moment when I was in the bus to Vilnius because when I was on the customs, when I was on the border, I had lots of adrenaline, and I didn't feel tired or sleepy or something. But when I was in the bus, I need to book a room somewhere, and I tried to do it, but I start to hallucinate.
Really?
And start to sleep, not even closing my eyes. So I also
sleepwalker.
I start to, I asked guys near me, I heard they speak English. So I explained them my situation, that I didn't sleep for long, and asked them to help me to book from my phone, to book the apartment on the Airbnb. But the rest part was boring.
Okay. I know that you're participate in a lot of activities in support of Ukrainian children, Ukrainian people here in Spain and Barcelona. You participated in Russian-speaking community. So it will be interesting to understand why you don't participate in Ukrainian communities, but rather you participate in Russian teams. Am I wrong?
First of all, no. I'm not. First of all, Ukrainian community is pretty huge there, and they're, they are more official, they are more formal, and they're
here in Barcelona.
Yeah, because they have the group for helping refugees. They have the group for mental support and stuff like this. So, but and I don't know. I actually participate. I participate in all Ukrainian protests here, the marches, the meetings. It is the first thing. So of course I participate because despite that I'm from Russia, I think that it is important to show people here in Europe that the problem of the war in Ukraine, it didn't stop, it didn't go away. It is still a problem. It is still people still dying, and society should not forget about that. But I also participate in Russian speaking, not Russian speaking, community of Russians. Because I don't know, I think that this, ethnically I'm Ukrainian, nationally I'm Russian, and if I pretend here that, I'm Ukrainian, it will be a bit unfair, mostly for those people who are, who really suffered from the war. I'm not refugee, I didn't suffer. It was my story, and my case, it's pretty light. I didn't see any horrific things in my life, terrific things. So I think that it is just fair for myself, fair for others, if I don't pretend to be Ukrainian and I tell what it is. Moreover, I think that it is important to help Russian community to show it is also important to show that not only Ukrainians against the war, it is reasonable, understandable, but Russians against the war, it shows that this war is it shows that this war is really something wrong that shouldn't ever be. It's not because we all Ukrainians and
you are literally building bridges between Ukrainians and Russians. You are himself a bridge between Russians and Ukrainians. Well, what do you think in terms of war? What it will be? I mean, that will be some events in your home Crimea. That will be some, some peaceful agreement, or that will be a new phase of active war. What is your thoughts about next 2 months? We're all waiting something like some active things.
I don't know. I cannot forecast the future, but I hope the war is just I wish war to stop as soon as possible, with less people die, and this is the most important.
So peaceful agreement in any terms?
Not in any terms. Russia should, because the war should not turn into some frozen conflict, because it means that it will repeat some time after. I think that what should be done is to make I don't know what to do, but made something that Russia wouldn't be a security threat to any neighbor country, and this is really crucial to have it at the end of the war. But but on the other hand, it is still done by Ukrainian people and Ukrainian blood, and it is also wrong from me to say okay, Ukrainians, go solve this problem. Ukrainian soldiers, go solve this problem. I think that it should be done by the whole community of the world, by the different countries, and sanctions pressure, by the economic pressure, by the fighting with Russian agents here in the civilized world.
So you are fighting with Russian propaganda in Europe?
Yes, in a sense, we have some. Okay.
Your plans and your thoughts about Russians, what they can do in Russia to stop this war, and what you and other Russians can do here in Europe to stop this war.
I'm going to start from Russians who are here in Europe. Obviously, you are being not in Russia allows you more. So it is crucial to first of all to talk to other people and explain what's actually going on in Russia. That the Putin is not a good Tsar who are doing something good for their people. That actually many people in Russia suffering from this regime. That this is actually not that that regime in Russia is actually some kind of fascist, the repressive who are doing genocidal war. And it is important because most of people in Europe, they never been into Russian politics, they never been into Russian environment, and they really don't understand what's going on, and there is no like the things that some group of people in Europe think that we just should allow Putin to keep the face or something. It's wrong completely, because the things that happen, they're totally unacceptable, and the civilized world should do is to stop these things, that to push on it with sanctions, push on it with military support of Ukraine. So it's important to be being vocal, to tell people here.
Do you think sanctions really work?
Yes, of course they work, because even those sanctions that have been like in 2014, those sanctions, they at least at least what I felt, it really decreased the level of life in Moscow, in many other cities. Just it wasn't like shockingly, it wasn't like economic shock, rather it was slow decline in level of life and life conditions. But I think that those sanctions that was raised in 2020 in 2022, they have to be earlier. Then it might stop the war.
Maybe those sanctions should not decrease quality of life for average people, but instead decrease abilities to build new rockets, new shells, new tanks for Putin regime. Many Russians here in Europe and almost everyone in Russia still they're thinking that sanctions doesn't work, and that sanctions just make life of average people harder, but oligarchs and Putin's regime war machine still not suffering from those sanctions. How do you think?
No, I don't think so, because it's rather about average level, average level of Russian economy, Russian macroeconomy, because of course, if regime has less money for giving pensions for social welfare, they will probably have to to take this money out of out of war industry, and redirect them into something, and at least the less people, the less money Russian regime has, the less it just limits their capabilities.
What do you think about some Russians, some Western politics says maybe we should brain drain Russia? I mean, they say let smart Russians, IT specialists, engineers, to have easier have visas to Europe, to America, and therefore left Putin's regime without brains to build new weapons, to build those rockets who kills a lot of Ukrainians.
Definitely, I think that this, but moreover, I think it is also important for Russian people. If you have any talent, you will be your the domain to apply your talents will be much smaller in Russia than here in Europe, because there the only thing you can contribute to the war, but here you have you can do lots of important things like I mean, even make money here. It's more. I think that you still don't pay taxes. Definitely, like regarding the idea to brain drain Russia, it's definitely good thing because the people who are paying taxes right now, they will just go to another countries and pay their taxes there.
So, summarizing, you think it's like kill two birds in with one stone. You not only left Putin's regime without necessary brains for build new weapons, but also to contribute to European or American economy and
Definitely.
yeah, okay. So that's all, general picture. But what's about your life, your plans here in Spain? Do you have some plans to stay in Spain, or you have plans to finish your education and then move to another European country, or maybe to America? What?
Actually, like as for now, my plans is finish my studies. I finished them in October 2024. So like this is my main plan. I'm not going to go to America, like to USA. I don't think that this is like the good place for me. I rather prefer stay here in Europe. I don't have any plans, like life plans, living plans regarding like staying here in Spain, because it's always I'm still foreigner here, and it's still a matter of like, do you have a job or not, and if I will be able to to keep my life out of Russia in some other countries with with job contract and stuff like this. I think it's fine for me, but if it's possible, I would prefer stay here. The main thing for me is not returning to Russia, because
but you are learning Spanish language.
Yes, I do learning Spanish language because I think that it's like, first of all, it's studying languages is always a difficult task, and requires a lot of effort. And Spanish language is good one. Like there's no bad and good languages, but I mean one of the biggest. There are lots of content in Spanish, and it's very interesting language. So I think just it's a good opportunity to study it here in the Spanish-speaking environment, talking to Spanish people. In Catalan people as well, but I mean the point is that I just don't want to give up this opportunity. I think that it's good one. Yes, and regarding my social life, I'm participating in communities here, in activist communities who are against war, and I think it is important right now. And until the war ends, nothing will be more important.
Why, when this war will end? Bad case scenario and good case scenario.
I don't know. I just don't have any expertise. I wish it to end as soon as possible.
Yeah, of course.
And but I don't know. I think that I don't know. I just I'm not expert in that.
You have no expectations about date, possible date.
I don't know. I think that. Actually, I'm very scared that it will take, the war will be long, and it will be even longer. That's really scary for me.
This end of this year, or
no? I mean really long. I mean couple of years. I'm really scared of that it will turn that way and never end.
Okay, so Final question: as a native Ukrainian, how do you feel? How do you think what Ukrainian people, whom Putin call brothers and sisters, what Ukrainian people will think about Russians, their brothers or sisters in Putin terms, in after this war?
They will hate us. Like,
We are not brothers and sisters.
I think that the questions of these, brothers and sisters, it end up in like 2014 when Russia actually invaded and attacked Ukraine. I mean, I know lots of, stories about conflicts which were even smaller, which was larger, but, which took forever. And like people still, they end like 40 years ago. So, but still people still hate each other. And it's, and it's understandable because, the out of blue, out of nothing, Russia just started to kill Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian civilian population, Ukrainian kids, and those are things that could never be forgiven.
Oh.
And you cannot just forgive if someone killed your kid. And I mean, in general, between like the two peoples, to nations, it will be always, it will always be hate, unfortunately.
Okay. So, thank you for this such long interview. Okay.
Thank you very much for the questions. It was nice to talk to you.